My name is Harshit Kumar, and today we are going to discuss a poem for class 6 students of CBSE board. The name of the poem is Today I Wrote a Poem. This poem is written by Kenn Nesbitt. He's a poet known for writing many poems for children, and this poem, Today I Wrote This Poem, is a fun poem. So I would like you to enjoy the poem while we discuss it. Even before we start discussing the poem, I would like you to pause the video and think of a time when you have tried to write a poem, story, or even an article, a paragraph, and you liked it a lot. But while reading that poem, article, or paragraph or story, you tried to find mistakes which you have made that would make you dislike the work which you have done. But at the end, you still like the poem. Try remembering that time, and I would like you to bring out that feeling in you that happened. Take a few moments. I'll be back. Okay. So before we go into the discussion, I would read the poem to you. So enjoy the poem, get a feeling of the poem. Today I wrote this poem by Kenn Nesbitt. Today I wrote this poem, but I'm not sure should. It doesn't share the feelings I have inside of me. It hasn't any metaphors and not one simile. It's missing any narrative, alliteration too. It isn't acrostic, dismante, or haiku. There's nothing that's personified. It doesn't have a plot. I'm pretty sure that rhyming is the only thing it's got. It sure was fun to write it, and I think it's long enough. It's just too bad it's missing all that great poetic stuff. I put it on my teacher's desk, and wow, she made a fuss. She handed back my poem with an A plus 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 plus. So this is the poem. I would read it again to you in a very fast manner. Today I wrote this poem, but I'm not sure if it's good. It doesn't have the things my teacher says a poem should. It doesn't share the feelings I have deep inside of me. It hasn't any metaphors and not one simile. It's missing any narrative, alliteration too. It isn't an acrostic, diamante, or haiku. There's nothing that's personified. It doesn't have a plot. I'm pretty sure that rhyming is the only thing it's got. And it sure was fun to write it. And I think it's long enough. It's just too bad it's missing all that great poetic stuff. I put it on my teacher's desk, and wow, she made a fuss. She handed back my poem with an A plus 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 plus. Four pluses. So this is the poem. You can rewind the video, listen to the poem again, try to get a feeling. And the poem will be available in the description below as well. So we will now get into the stanza-wise description of the poem. So let's get ready. If you want to make notes, go ahead. Today I wrote this poem, but I'm not sure if it's good. At the beginning of the video itself, I told you to try remembering a time when you tried to write something, a poem, a story, or an article, and try to find out what are the mistakes or what are the likes or dislikes about the poem. So the first line itself says, today I wrote this poem, but I'm not sure if it's good. It doesn't have the things my teacher says a poem should. So he showed this poem to the teacher, and the teacher pointed out the things which the poem is missing. And that has made the poet, the child, sad. It doesn't share the feelings I have deep inside of me. The poem is a simple one. It's written by a child. It doesn't share, the child does not have the ability to express the emotions which are deep within him, but still he likes the poem. It hasn't any metaphors or one simile. Okay, what are metaphors? Metaphors are figures of speech used to metaphors are figures of speech used to make representations. For example, if I say the sun came into my room, does it mean that the actual sun came into my room? No, it means the sunshine came into the room. But here, the sunshine is replaced by the sun itself. So we use representation or symbolic replacements instead of the actual thing, the actual words. If I say the sun came into the room, it doesn't mean that the sun itself came into the room. It means the sunshine came into my room. So here is a metaphor, the explanation of a metaphor. It hasn't any metaphors and not one simile too. A simile is a figure of speech in which you make comparisons. If I say I run as fast as a horse. He ran as fast as a horse. There I'm making a comparison. He was he ran as fast as a horse doesn't mean that he was a horse. It means that his speed was as fast as a horse. Or if I say he ran as a horse, then you will compare to the speed of the horse and the person being described as. So this is a simile. It doesn't share the feelings I have deep inside of me. It hasn't any metaphors and not one simile. It's missing any narrative. Alliteration too. It isn't acrostic, diamante, or haiku. Okay, so it's missing any narrative. Narrative means story, plot. If you're saying about a story, if you're saying about uh, main events, you mean narrative. It has a content. It has a content. So that content is missing from the poem. Alliteration too. Okay, what are alliterations? Alliterations are repeating of the letters or sounds, etc., in one line or sentence. If I say this, listen very carefully. She sells seashells at the seashore. Okay, I'll repeat that. She sells at the seashore. I'll repeat that again. She sells seashells at the seashore. So here the syllable sure or and sir are repeated again and again. Okay, I would like you to listen to more one. It's a tongue. You must have heard about it. Bitty bought a bit of butter. The bit of butter Bitty bought was bitter. So these are two examples. I'll repeat that again. Bitty bought a bit of butter. The bit of butter Bitty bought was bitter. Okay. So here, burr is repeated again and again. The syllable burr is repeated again and again. So why does the poet, why do normal poets, the mature poets, use alliteration? Alliteration is used to the importance of that line in a poem, so that the reader of the poem is read by someone, and that someone is paying special attention to that line. So that is the main purpose of using alliteration. So this poet, our poet, says that this poem is missing alliterations. It doesn't have a narrative too. It isn't acrostic. What is an acrostic poem? Okay. Acrostic poems are those poems in which, for example, I have a word and each letter of that word is the beginning of a sentence. Then it's an acrostic poem. It can be a sentence too. I'll give you an example. My name is Harshit. My first name is Harshit. 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 If I say he is, that's the first line. He is. Okay. Second word is a. So I'll start with awarding. Take a note, use a pen and paper, and you will get it. He is awarding or rewarding, that's the third sentence. Rewarding students, that's the fourth line. Students. So you will notice that each letter of my word is the starting or the beginning of some words or part of sentence, part of video, or at the end remember to it's hot. I have switched on the fan, switched off the fan so that you may not get any problems listening. Okay, you can use your own time to make acrostic poems. I give you an example. Okay, what are diamante? It isn't acrostic, diamante, or haiku. Okay, acrostic I explained to you. What is diamante? Diamante are the poems that are seven lined poems in which the first and the seventh line have got one word. The second and the sixth line have got two words. Okay, and so on. The third and the fifth have got three words, and the fourth has got four words. So total you have got first and the seventh will have one word, the second and the sixth will have two words, the third and the fifth will have how many words? Three words, and the fourth will have only four words. So imagine that the making of a diamond shape. So that is the literal meaning of diamante. Diamante, diamante. Diamante means like a diamond. If a poem is written in the form of first line one word, second line two words, third line three words, fourth line four words, then in a decreasing manner, fifth line will be three words, sixth line will be two words, and seventh line will be one word. It will be a diamond. Or haiku. It says it isn't acrostic, diamante, or haiku. Haiku is a Japanese style of writing poem. It's a very interesting type. It doesn't have any rhyming. It has only three lines. It has only three lines. And each line tells a story on its own. I'll say that to you. Let me search for a haiku poem so that you can get a better idea. Haiku. Japan. His name was Kobayashi, and I'm trying to search for his haiku poems. Okay. There was a silent pond. The frog jumped into the pond. There was silence again. By Kobayashi. There was a silent pond. A frog jumped into the pond. There was silence again. Okay, another one. O snail, climb Mount Fuji, but slowly, slowly. O snail, climb Mount Fuji, but slowly, slowly. So these are examples of haiku poems written by Kobayashi. I remembered those and I told them to you. Okay, moving on. So that was the first stanza. Now, moving on to the next stanza. There's nothing that's personified. There's nothing that's personified. It doesn't have a plot. I am pretty sure that rhyming is the only thing it's got. There's nothing that's personified. What is personification? Personification is considering an inanimate object or not a live object lively. If I say Mother Nature, we consider nature to be alive and consider it as mother. A mother is a person. So we are personifying Mother Nature. Okay, if I say the sun is our savior, the sun is our energy giver. So we are personifying that sun. So we are considering that inanimate object, that non-living thing as living. Okay, as a person like a human. So that's personification. The poet says there's nothing that's personified. It doesn't have a plot. It doesn't have a background story. It doesn't have a main event. I am not trying to tell any story. The poet says that. I'm pretty sure that rhyming is the only thing it's got. The only thing that is in the poem, we can consider it a poetic content is the rhyming which the poet has tried to give. So he is a child. The poet is considered to be a child in this one. A child can only use rhyming words. He doesn't have any sense of these kind of big terminologies or literal sophistications of an adult poet or a mature poet. So he realizes that. So listen, look at the maturity of the poet. He says that he doesn't have. At the same time, he is showing the reader the maturity that he knows. The poet Ken Nesbitt knows about these things very well, but representing a child, he doesn't have the liberty, he doesn't have the extent of representing those figures of speech, those sophisticated skills of an adult poet. He is a child. Our poet is a child. So we have to think in a child's perspective. Moving on. It sure was fun to write, and I think it's long enough. It's just too bad it's missing all that great poetic stuff. Stuff, Stuff. Stuff means things. He says it sure was fun to write, and I think it's long enough. It's just too bad it's missing all that great poetic stuff. So the poet says that his poem is only rhyming and the poem has got length. The only two things he finds good enough in his poem. The other sophisticated things are lacking in his poem. I put it on my teacher's desk and wow, she made a fuss. The poet, the child, kept that poem before the teacher for evaluation. And the teacher pointed out the negative aspects of that poem. She says that, excuse me. The teacher says that the poem does not have personification in it. It doesn't have any metaphors. It doesn't have a simile in it. There are other things. It's not a haiku. It's not a diamante. Things like that. It's not an acrostic. But still, moving on, I put it on my teacher's desk and wow, she made a fuss. She handed back my poem with an A plus 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 plus. So even if the poem was not good enough, was not a mature one, but still the teacher liked it. The teacher pointed out the mistakes, the limitations of the poem the child has written. But she gave A plus 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 as an appreciation for the poet. Appreciation for the poem, the child's attempt which she has made. So that in future, when the child tries to write a poem, he will keep those things in mind which his first poem was lacking and later on became a literary pioneer, a literary legend. So this was the explanation for today. I wrote a poem by Kenn Nesbitt. I'll read that poem again to you because I have got some seconds. Today I wrote this poem, but I'm not sure it's good enough. It doesn't have the things my teacher says a poem should. It doesn't share the feelings I have deep inside of me. It hasn't any metaphors and not one simile. It's missing any narrative, alliteration too. It isn't acrostic, diamante or haiku. There's nothing that's personified. It doesn't have a plot. I'm pretty sure that rhyming is the only thing it's got. It sure was fun to write it, and I think it's long enough. It's just too bad it's missing all that great poetic stuff. I put it on my teacher's desk, and wow, she made a fuss. She handed back my poem with an A plus 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 plus, 4 pluses. Okay, so this was Harshit Kumar explaining the poem. Today I wrote this poem by Kenn Nesbitt to you, and see you next time. Bye bye.